before when you are dealing with the so weak leader to the point that you think that Irish people can attack. Example also is that most Gambians have not seen fresh ginger. You go to the market, the type of ginger that is sold is not fit for you. So you realize that when the oil became color, that was a long story. Okay? Especially the Irish people, we didn't expect that color. They were very fresh. That is the color of freshness. And the size also is very important.
The interim government in Ukraine is fighting to salvage the country from Moscow's political interference and dominion. However, Kiev has to deal with the continuous protests in the east of the country, where armed militants are on the rampage. The news is not encouraging to the new leaders in Kiev, who believe more cities are likely going to be swayed by Moscow. The authorities have warned residents of Odessa to stay indoors while the militants take care of these saboteurs.
Following weeks of inconclusive attacks and setbacks, the Ukrainian army is changing tactics. Ukraine's government has given orders to the military to take more determined action against the pro-Russian rebels. In order to avoid civilian victims in the conflict, Ukraine's interior minister has told civilians to stay indoors.
Their tactics are easy to see. They line up civilians, women and children. Then armed people appear behind them. The civilians provoke us. They tell us to leave, that it's their land. It affects us psychologically.
Ukrainian soldiers are blocking the access to towns such as Sloviansk and Kramatorsk. The Ukrainian army appears to be making headway in some towns, but the rebels are putting up strong resistance in others, such as Luhansk.
We're doing this because of what happened in Odessa, Sloviansk, and Kramatorsk. We cannot bear it that our brothers and sisters were killed. We are weeping, and this is why we are waiting for our enemies with gun in hand. All the world has heard our appeals, but no one cares. Only Russia is willing to help us. We want to protect our wives and children. Why are they attacking us?
According to the Kremlin, Russia has no sway over armed Russian speakers in Ukraine. The situation remains tense after over 40 people were killed in Odessa Friday. Meanwhile, NATO accuses Russia of playing with fire by continuing to destabilize Ukraine.
Kenyans are trying to come to terms with the twin bomb blast that rocked Mombasa on Saturday. A grenade exploded at the crowded bus that was carrying passengers from the capital Nairobi. Not far from the action, another explosion was heard near a hotel. The East African nation has a spate of Al-Qaeda-inspired attacks in recent years, even though no institution has claimed responsibility for Saturday's blast. Authorities are pointing finger at the Al-Shabaab militant group. Details in this report by CFI.
The sirens sounded throughout the night Saturday in Kenya's port city of Mombasa after twin blasts rocked the city. The first occurred at a busy bus terminal near the city center. The authorities say a grenade had been thrown inside a crowded minibus that had just arrived from the capital, Nairobi. 4 people were killed and 15 injured. I saw 3 people die just after the blast. There were so many injured. I took 8 to the hospital, but I know many others followed. A second blast occurred at the same time at the city's famous Reef Hotel, but no casualties were reported from that explosion. There was no immediate claim of responsibility, but Kenya has been hit in the recent past by attacks in Mombasa and in the capital Nairobi, which have been blamed on Al-Shabaab, a Somali Islamist group linked to Al-Qaeda. Kenya's large Muslim minority often feels marginalized by the predominantly Christian government and has been a fertile recruitment ground for Islamist militant networks.
There is no shortage of readers when it comes to sideway bookstores. This is because in Congo-Brazzaville, the not-so-rich take solace in books, newspapers displayed at open-air areas. In a country where the elite bookstores are found in the city, most people think sideway bookstores are meant for the poor.
Books and magazines sold outdoors at makeshift stalls or even right on the street is a common sight in Pointe-Noire, Congo's second largest city. These stands are much appreciated by students and their parents looking for second-hand books at affordable prices.
Thanks to these itinerant vendors, we can buy school books that we can't get at ordinary bookstores.
Second-hand booksellers owe their success mainly to their low prices and large choice of publications. These include textbooks for all school levels, technical works, magazines, and specialized periodicals. They may be a bit dog-eared, but with the economy in a crisis, these works respond to the demands of the average Congolese citizen.
In society, we are not all created equal. There are different strata. We belong to the one that buys books from street booksellers.
I found a math textbook at a good price. It makes me happy.
Vendors might have trouble obtaining the most recent publications, but they have imaginative ways of satisfying the demands of their clients.
If you have books that you don't use, you can bring them to us. It can help those who can't afford to pay exorbitant prices for them.
Being a second-hand or street bookseller has become a recognized profession here, and one that is much valued by a large portion of the population.
We now take our second break. Sports is next. Welcome back. The visiting FIFA delegation, comprising leading economic and PR experts, Saturday held performance and leadership meeting with the members of the Gambia Football Association. At the end of the event, the officials held a press briefing where FIFA consultant Francisco Bruscoli took questions from members of the press. Here is an excerpt.
The idea is to share our findings with the executive committee and then together identify priorities and an action plan that will support the federation, that will lead the federation to strengthen itself in a number of domains. These domains are typically the technical department, the communication, marketing, the administration and management, competition. So these are the key, usually they are the key activity domains of a football federation. I'd just like to add a few words on the cooperation with GFF. I've been visiting almost all African federations. I have to count them, but I think over 45. And therefore, by now, I have quite a good understanding of strengths and weaknesses. And I have to say that despite the fact that GFF comes out of a crisis and the normalization committee, we found very good potential at the level of the secretariat and also great commitment by the executive